You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing: to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, the media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is a vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
computer standby.
You hit the radio bullseye and the home for everything second event. Sealed carry, latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Hey there, everybody. I was going to say welcome back, but they've been there. We, on the other hand, have been using remote shows and travel shows, but I swear,
huh?
my new theme song is I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, and I'm not done. So in studio, then I go back, dump my suitcase, pick up my suitcase, and head to Lansing, Michigan.
I think in studio, at least it seems like a real job, where if you're just sitting in a hotel room talking,
it's not a real job?
Not a real job anymore.
Well, that's it. Okay, well, the people on the other hand... people on the other end of this radio or this TV, they don't know whether you're...
Yeah, but
they can tell by the picture.
I'm at home with my clutter here, and when I don't have it, it's...
You're lost without your clutter. So, he's not kidding, guys. He keeps old stories just in case they may pop back up, and so don't mess with that.
Well, sometimes there's a lot of stuff that you wish would pop back up because you want to hear the rest of the story, as they put it.
The rest of the story.
Some things you never hear again. It's like, what
happened?
What happened?
What was that? Where was that?
Story of my life. What happened?
What happened? What? So you got to be the plus one of NRA board, my NRA board of directors coronation.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really a coronation, but I have to say that those of you who are familiar with Riding Shotgun with Charlie, gifts, and so now I have a pink tiara that goes for my board of director run. I'm pretty sure that as you interact with the current board of directors, they don't have a sense of humor about this stuff, and I don't think my tiara will really fit into the. I don't think it'll make the statement that me and my friends think would be. Well, we think it would be hysterically funny, and they would all just vote me off the island immediately, right?
Right. Well, there's no making them happy. Whether you showed up just like Calamity Jane or in a pink tiara, wouldn't make
neither one of those. No. I mean, they're sort of structured. We'll just say structured.
So, but it was a lot of fun. There was a ton of places to be. It's like you can't hardly go look at the gun show because you're in too many meetings all day long. Yeah,
the board meetings are, the board members are actively busy because there's so many.
They accosted me and told me and put it in the Faraday bag.
They did.
Didn't even ask it what it thought. They just
nope, it goes in the Faraday bag, and that's exactly it. So maybe I'll wear my tiara one day while I'm on the show. I'm not quite sure I'll wear it at one of the board meetings. It was a fabulous gift. I just want to say that it was very well intentioned and very well received, and so we were at dinner one night and I unboxed it, and pretty much all the tables around us were like, "You got a tiara? What's the deal?"
I'm surprised we didn't get a picture of Charlie with the tiara on.
Oh yeah, but yeah, okay, and Rob could rock that tiara too, is what I'm hearing from our listeners. So, and he's confident enough in his masculinity that would not bother him a bit.
Me and Charlie go to the bar with it on. It's
like, does somebody get free drinks if they're wearing a tiara? Because we're both rocking one then, right? There is that. But no, there was so as crazy as this sounds, I mean, you and I have been at NRA annual meetings, and they call it
1982 or something.
They call it an annual meeting, and so we always were like, well, it's a name for the convention, right? Because we go and walk the show and talk to people and do all that.
Gun show, and actually it's just Old Home Week where you get to meet your friends from all across the country that come in.
But we actually found out that there is a meeting of the members, and it is on Saturday, and we did attend. And wow, that's always, it's pretty interesting how it plays out.
Whatever, 5 million members, 20 people get up to say something, that's about the extent of it.
Right, and maybe there was, I don't know, a couple hundred people there. I mean, there were people who had taken time out of their day to go to a meeting. It was a couple hours of what was
I can
happening.
say if you are wanting to go to some of those meetings and you are interested in voicing an opinion, read the Robert's Rules of Order, make sure that your statements are in line with however it's supposed to be laid out, because otherwise they just walk right over you and say, "Yep, this is out of line," and you're done.
Right. So there was somebody who had a statement that we don't even know what the statement was, because the way that it works is that once the meeting starts, then you get an opportunity and you have to write it in a format, and they have the format all written out there. And if you don't write it in that format, they came up and they said, we have 3 resolutions. And the first resolution, the parliamentarian who's sitting right there at the table says, yeah, this one does not meet the criteria. So, yep, done. And so we don't know. Whatever it is, it isn't. And so you just get to hear it,
And the
or
other
not
one
hear it.
is if you're going to write something out, make sure it's not 10 minutes long, right? A couple of short. We're a soundbite society. Make it short and sweet.
We heard a lot.
Let them vote on it, and then go to the bigger bite the next time. So baby bites are going to get you somewhere. This whole paragraph of everything is just going to put everyone to sleep, and they're going to say, nope.
No. Wait, our listeners know it put you to sleep. There was that. So there we are, and I'm like elbowing him. Rob, do not sleep.
Well,
you're not allowed to
you
sleep.
just glaze over from all the what twos and how fours and all that stuff.
There was a little bit of that. We'll just say that it was kind of like a meeting of the lawyers, not a meeting of the members, because most of my people don't talk like that, but it seemed to be what they required. But we had good news. Rick Ector was, though he did not make it in the election for the 25 Board of Election
He did
board
get the
members.
76th position, which is a 1-year position.
Right. So he stood outside in the hallway and accosted everyone. Are you a life member? Would you vote for me? Would you like to talk to me? You want to get to know me so you can vote for me?
I told him I didn't think that most of the members even knew that was a thing. So once he got out there and started talking to people, he realized that most of them didn't know that they could go and vote, and that this was something that happened at every show.
And so he got twice as many votes as anybody else who was running for that last seat. And so he did well. And so now Rick Ector is the 76th Board of Directors board member. And then right after all of that happened and that person was picked, then from the organization, the Well-Armed Woman, Carrie Lightfoot stepped down as a Board of Directors member. And so the next runner-up after Rick was elected to fill her position until the next election. So in 2024, they will elect a standard 25 members plus 76th member plus the unfilled seats or the open seats. And so there will be more than 25 people elected next year. So it's kind of interesting. So the other thing that happened, and once again, I feel like I'm drinking from the fire hose. So much learning and so much stuff, and pretty much everybody's advice is in the beginning just look, listen, and learn, so you know how it works and how things are moved. There was a switch of officers mid run in the officers for the NRA. So everybody knows Wayne LaPierre's name, and Wayne is the executive director, and he runs the operations portion. Tell about the.
Well, and then you have the president, who is Charles Cotton, and then you have a series of vice presidents that are
working their way up through the chairs.
First and second vice president, and then I know that there was a treasurer and 2 or 3 other people who were up there.
There's a secretary and a treasurer those 2 are not elected; they're appointed, hired.
So if you look at it, I think that the Cotton has been president for a couple of terms. The Coy has been in this second vice president
For 2 years.
chair for a while.
So it typically is every 2 years they shift up, and there's 3 different. There is second vice president, first vice president, and the president.
Well, and there's no spring chickens in this group. I'm going to tell you, I think that new guy the last guy that got elected, I think he said he was 43, was the youngest guy.
And
So
he is like,
everyone else is 60 plus. And
I'm pretty sure that at my age, I'm bringing the average down, not
right, well, that's the
raising
thing,
it,
there's a lot
and
of
I'm
them.
not a spring chicken. So yeah, so there's a little bit of all of that, and so it's kind of crazy, but I don't know. It's kind of
It isn't
crazy.
as boring as it sounds when we're
It
talking
isn't.
about it.
It really isn't, and it is kind of convoluted, and there is a lot to it, and there's so much to look, listen, and learn. But we'll figure it
Okay,
out.
you
We'll be
ask
back.
yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summit and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Justice Assistance.
I'm Charlie Cook from Writing Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Writing Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are going to talk a little bit about the history, and we're going to continue on NRA annual meeting theme. So as you go to the annual meeting and as you walk around, one of my favorite parts of the show is off in one corner is the clubs and organizations and their theme displays. So what they do is they welcome and encourage each of the collectors groups to have one of their members bring their display. And so the club or organization works really hard.
Sometimes the club goes together and 2 or 3 people are displaying because nobody has a whole complete collection by themselves.
Of whatever it is.
Depending on how hard it is to gather that stuff up or how much money it takes to own it all.
So one of the people that we have known in the Ruger collectors for years brought his collection of guns for display and then had a traumatic experience where somebody in one of those motorized jitneys veered off course and crashed into his display and
knocked it over on his wife and destroyed the display and almost destroyed the wife. She was pretty banged up.
Yeah. So there was that. It was kind of sad because he had been contacting and communicating with us in the weeks going up to it about how excited he was that his collection had been selected.
The sheer amount of time they have in putting those things together and making sure that everything fits and lines up and it's somewhat secure so somebody can't either steal it or knock it over and then something bad happens to it.
In this case, you expect them to touch it and knock it over. You don't expect them to ram it with the motorized bulldozer.
I can remember building a display at home and then getting there and finding out that their table was lighter than our table, so the thing kept on the tip over. So we'd end up having to go and buy 3 or 4 cases of ammo and stack on the back of the
support things.
Try to hold the table up in the
adapt and overcome. There was no doubt about it. But there was a collection of early automatic pistols that was remarkable.
The Ohio Gun Collectors people had a display, and it showed from about 1890 up through 1900 some really, really early stuff. There was Bergmans and different. The Bouchard pistol was there. There was a Luger that was in there. There was some these Bergman. There was Bayards and some Simplex, I think, and some other guns that I don't even know the names of. The one was so ergonomically
awkward.
Designed.
Yeah, it wasn't ergonomically fit. It was ergonomically awkward.
It was funny. It looked like the trigger was actually up and down instead of coming back towards the gun and stuff. But anyhow, the funny part was he had not only the gun, but sometimes if it was in a case, he would have the case, and he would have a holster, the factory holster for it. He would have these little speed loaders or things that go with them.
The little toolkits, all these accessories.
Tons of things that down the road would have got separated away from the pistol and used on the sewing machine and fixing your bicycle. And
you know that when you pull open your junk drawer and you have like a 1940s screwdriver in there that came from something. Right. This dude found it.
The funny part is some of those the Smith & Wesson ones that they put on the early guns that had like a knurled finish on the handle, those are a couple $100 now, where the later ones that have an aluminum fin handle, they're $40 to $100.
So should I go look in the junk drawer? I'm just saying.
It's funny that when you're looking for that particular piece, and if you need one for 1895 Bergman, it's probably more than $400 if you can find.
Yeah, it was a giant display. I mean, I think it was a 30-foot long booth, and so they probably have 50 feet of display.
Right, I say easy had like 6 tables all set up, and it was multiple guns and different levels, and there was some Mauser C96s in there. There was every kind of semi-automatic style or design that someone had come up with between the beginning and 1900.
And you will go into information overload on those because they, in this case, I mean, they had a picture of the gun, they put the gun up there, they had blueprints and drawings and history and segments. So it was really, you could spend an hour.
Right, and some of those companies were short-lived. They were bought up by another company that went on for a while, and then it was bought up by another company, or some of them just lost all their capital and went out of business. So they maybe made 300 pieces or something, but all of them were trying for a government contract, and it's funny because some of the very early ones were like 5 millimeter, so. Quarter inch,
think about it.
Inch diameter, so 25 caliber guns, and then they made the improvements to make them up to like 32 caliber guns, so that they were powerful then.
25% more power. Right. I love that kind of history. And then
one of those automatic pistols they were showing was the same one they used in a John Wayne movie, where his one kid or something had an automatic pistol, and was like a couple of years before the model was supposed to come out. Because they were shareholders or something.
Oh.
But it was a cowboy movie with this guy had this automatic pistol that held like 8 or 10 shots or something.
Oh, I see.
And everybody's used to having 6 shots, so when they thought he was out of bullets, he still had bullets left.
And they put it in the movie to be able to help the gun sales because the guy was invested in both. Go figure. That would be smart advertising, right?
But I think it was a Big Jake or something was the movie, but it was a pretty interesting storyline how they do this stuff.
I thought you kept track of all guns in all movies.
No, I'd watch it and forget it and go on about my business, because a lot of that stuff is so fake and goobered up. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that they have taken apart and put back together in a completely different configuration. So, and
you're like, oh, that's not how it works. That's not how any of this
right. I mean,
works.
They would just take the forearm off of some of the old guns and then paint them gold so they look like a Henry, and that way they could still shoot their 5-in-1 blanks to them and stuff.
Got it. But it looked like a Henry.
Or they could beat them up without feeling bad about ruining their $26,000 Henry.
Well, probably that's a very good move.
You can't
right
drop
there.
This one off the horse.
Do not. Well, you and I both know that when we were in the movie White Boy Rick with Matthew McConaughey, that the extras have no, even though it was a gun-related movie, they have no gun handling skills. And you spent all your time with a fly swatter just smacking them, telling them, don't touch, don't touch. This is the rule. Did your mother not teach you don't touch? That was pretty much it. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the movie Rust and what's the latest news there. We'll be back.
Friends, and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefakul and all 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
Okay, we are back, and let's talk a little bit
about Alec Baldwin and the movie Rust. They have dropped charges against Alec Baldwin at this point.
But not the guy who handed him the gun.
Well, and they're still going after Hannah Gutierrez Reed. So she is the armorer. They're still going after the guy who handed him the gun. The interesting part is part of this we called because I don't believe that they could actively prosecute, even though all of us are like, you need to know the condition, blah, 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 of your gun and all that. In this circumstance, this was a movie prop. And so there was a responsibility of people.
But when the guy says to him, here's your gun, it's all loaded, ready to go out there, shoot.
This is what you're doing, blah, blah, blah,
Yep. Then
that's what he's doing. So I don't believe that, I called it then, that they could not hold him responsible for the fact that it had real bullets in it. Because even looking at it from the side or the back, you knew that it had bullets in it. You expected it to have bullets in it. They were supposed to be blanks. So that there was that piece. But they have not, and so watch this space, they have not gone all in and said that they're done. And I believe that if what they were saying was true, that because of COVID, they kept the assistant who handed him the gun and they kept Hannah Gutierrez Reed off the set so that they could minimize the number of potential germy people, that they can't hold her responsible either. But they can hold the person who determined that she could not be on the set. And so I believe that they're going to drop the charges against her, and then they're going to come back and they're going to hold the producers of the movie, the directors of the movie, that group of people responsible,
the problem
which puts Alec Baldwin back in the hot seat, but in a different hot seat in a different position.
But she was trying to get her career off the ground. This was a huge black eye.
I talked to some people and they were like, oh, she can explain it. Oh, there's not a spot where you get a chance to explain it. When you are an armorer and you're now officially famous for somebody that got killed while supposedly on your watch and you didn't watch, whether you were allowed to watch or not, you don't get to explain it. What do you think?
Well, and that's the thing is, her dad was famous as an armorer before this, so it's a family business basically. So it's hard to say how much of a hit this is going to be for them, but maybe nothing else they'll give it to the kid, rechange the name again, and then she'll just be in the background as a helper.
Okay. So she'll be somebody else's because she's famous now. I mean, it's not a good thing. But there are so many people who are losing their minds about the fact that they dropped charges against Baldwin. I've been expecting.
Well, the thing is, how many people are going to go watch this movie now? Does it make the movie more famous or less famous? Are people going to say,
they're going to go watch. It's like standing there watching a train wreck. It doesn't matter. They're going to want to be like, I'm watching the whole thing. I want to see where that could have been. Which scene are we talking about? How did that, where was this? What did he do? Where all did he shoot? How, they're going to tear that apart just so that they can say that they saw it.
I didn't want to watch it in the first place, so.
I never have control of the remote, so you know how much TV I watch. And if you take me to the movies, it's dark, it's warm.
I'm sleeping. Have a little bit of popcorn, and next thing you know, snoring away.
Wake me up when it's over. It's time to go home. So yeah, I'm not a huge movie watcher. We'll just say. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm running. When I stop running, I'm the hamster sleeping in the hamster wheel. Right?
Right.
I don't know.
So anyhow, have you guys heard about this key card, auto key card?
Oh, the
case?
auto key card. Yeah, so
the auto key card case. Try to say that fast.
Auto key card case. The Irvin and Hoover. So this is an interesting thing. So the backstory is there was a guy or a group of guys who created the design for a little printed on metal card.
Okay, well, the one guy just made a little printed card. His name is Justin Irvin. Yep. And then the other one, Matt Hoover, has a CRS Firearms on YouTube. And so
he marketed it.
So he marketed it.
So the two of them, this is the one guy's thing. This is, you're right, morbid curiosity is how America functions. There's no doubt about it. So in this case with the auto key card, Irvin designed it. Hoover has the company that was marketing it. And so the ATF went after them. The interesting piece, so they found them guilty. And so this is...
Well, it's got a lot of interesting pieces to it. Now, this little key card is just a printed card, like a card that fits in your wallet. You could cut out on a line, supposedly, and use it for something to turn your AR-15 into a full auto. Although most of the people who said in this article that they tried it didn't work, and the ATF also said that they tried it 4 times, 3 times didn't work, and the other time they ended up jamming it in to kind of block things up, and they got one to work. But anyhow, if you look at the stuff, it's almost like nobody made them cut that piece out. It's like they bought a book and then they decided to make one. So who's the criminal? The guy who sold you the book or the guy who decided to make one? And so neither one of these two have any, I believe, have any culpability in it. If anything, there should be some kind of a bonus points for making all this information available to the general public.
Well, there is that. The interesting part is that Irvin has been held in federal custody for 2 years while this worked through the courts. And Hoover, who had been free, was remanded into custody because now the federal prosecutor says she personally feels threatened by Mr. Hoover. And so they're going to hold him until the sentencing in July 31st of this year. So Irvin was found guilty of, frankly, it's called structuring, but it's moving money. And it's moving money to stay under the radar of the federal government. Imagine that. How many people want to stay under the radar?
Maybe he only made just enough money that it made it look like that, and he would have gladly put more money in the bank had he made more money.
Well, it was withdrawals that are over $10,000 trigger automatic investigations, and so he just moved everything in lesser quantities, and so that is what they charged him for. And so he was charged with one charge of structuring. And then he was also charged with 10 charges of transferring machine guns. And then Hoover was charged with a series of 8 charges of transferring machine guns and 1 charge of conspiracy. There's conspiracy, and then there's the tinfoil freaking hat.
Found guilty of 5 of the 8 charges.
Right. 4 were transferring machine guns, and 1 was conspiracy.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you and your tinfoil hat needs to take cover?
Well, the thing is every library in the country should be charged with all of this conspiracy and transferring machine guns.
Because it tells you how.
They show you how to do that.
Somewhere in the book. So
You should be allowed to get access to a book on welding, machining, free thought, any kind of thing. Mechanisms, all mechanisms are out. Whether it's just for advancing material or whatever. It's the same monkey motion.
Well, the ATF and the U.S. Attorney General's office requested that the jury be instructed that the auto key card is a machine gun, whether it works or not. Okay, it's a picture, but it's a machine gun, whether it works or not.
Here's another thing, though. They said the ATF employees also admitted they had taken classes on convincing a jury of their testimony.
There you go. So the ATF's tuning up, kids, and these guys are the guinea pigs. They really are test subjects number 1 and 2. But we'll see what the sentencing looks like. I mean, one has been in jail for 2 years waiting, and the other is in jail now, and so he'll have several months.
The thing is with some of this stuff, because this is a First Amendment deal that is there a spot where Bruin and the Second Amendment or the NFA actually comes into this thing because of the fact that
at this point they've been found guilty, they'll be sentenced. They can use that as they are key litigants in the next case. But in the meantime, Dick Heller, it took him 13 years to get Heller through the courts. Poor Mr. Irvin has already sat in jail for 2 years, and if it takes 13,
he'll be good at
it. He'll understand how jails work by that time. I mean, there's you got to kind of be inside to understand all that. But now,
well, the thing too is not only are these guys going through it, but you're seeing the same thing with the bump stocks and with these SIG braces and every other thing. So the ATF, every time they make a new rule and
is tuning up for somebody, and that somebody is there. So the auto key card is going to be one of the test cases, and if we're lucky, and if they're lucky, they are going to be the next Heller, not the next loser, Bruin. So New York State Rifle and Pistol won. Bruin really won, but you know what I mean. The name. They don't. We don't want them to be the loser in the case. We want them to be a winner, and we don't want them to spend time in jail. We'll be back right after these messages.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories Podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seffacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back. I host an educational summit and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Writing Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Writing Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, go back at it here. What are you seeing in the news that has you the most, that you think is the most optimistic or the most concerning?
Well, the thing that gets me is Washington State has passed some auto gun bills,
right?
And but the way that they got it is it's not illegal for you to own it. You just cannot do anything with it. Right now, they're letting the dealers transfer the firearms out of that state for 90 days. So the other states should sue them for dumping these so-called weapons of war into their jurisdiction.
Into their jurisdictions, but so they can't sell to Washingtonians. I don't know what you'd call them.
So that's this. They got to sell it out of state, and then two, if you decide you're going to hang on to one, you can pass it down through your will to your family members, but they can't sell it ever either. They could just keep passing it down, or they have to turn it over to the police.
So when they tell you that you have something that has value, that is yours, that is not illegal at all. And so it just doesn't make sense to me when they put these restrictions and rules in, and then they're like, okay, you can't sell this. And even if the other 49 states don't have it illegal, you can't sell it to them either. So, I mean, we know people with collections that are worth thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so they are now, they now are forced to, they have to just move out of state.
Right.
And
they don't really tell you what the rules are on that, but they did make it nice so that if your gun quits working, you can take it to a licensed gunsmith for service or repair. You just can't ever sell it.
Right. It's just so.
The big thing is it makes you wonder whether the gunsmith's able to get parts for your stuff in.
Well, and frankly, there's going to be a spot where there is no money in being a gunsmith.
Right.
So there will be no gunsmiths. Because there's a whole industry that they've just killed the industry.
So anyhow, they're working on all this stuff. It's to pass the bill. It's going to the governor's desk. It's a House Bill 1240. They're fighting it in every other part of the country.
Right.
I believe they said that they were the 10th state to ban the sale of assault weapons. So we'll see how it holds up to Bruin. And the ironic part, they said it was passed on April 19th, the 248th anniversary of the Battle of Lexington and Concord, when the British came to seize the armory. So,
well, I think there's some interesting details because I think that this is bigger reaching than just AR-15s, and so their definitions are larger in scope. But we're not in Washington, and so you get bits and pieces that maybe starts to tell you the story. But
well, the president is trying to go after all semi-automatic weapons. I mean, even 9mm pistols are they blow the lungs out and everything. He's got so much rhetoric about the stuff.
Right.
But they're no longer just after AR-15s. They want all semi-automatic weapons. They'll eventually take your shotgun and your .22 rifle and all that stuff. So,
well, look at what's happening in Connecticut. I mean, they're going after the like 10/22s. So 22s, folks, they're taking away 22s. So
it's a gateway drug to a full-size gun.
There you go. We all heard of gateway drugs. I didn't know that there was gateway guns.
Yep. Get a 10/22. Pretty soon you want a FAL.
Well, maybe you're not wrong. Yeah. So So one of our listeners says they will probably also want to hold the gunsmiths liable for a shooting, like they want to go after the manufacturers and hold them liable for shootings. That you would be culpable because before it was broken and now it's not.
It wasn't very long ago that the Obama administration was trying to make all gunsmiths supply with those
manufacturer's licenses.
Well, and they wanted that. What's that? Out of state stuff that State Department runs. That
so ITAR and EAR and yeah.
So all that stuff. So you have to know where your material comes from and everything's supplied.
Oh, the de minimis stuff for the Dodd-Frank conflict mineral stuff.
So it was so much paperwork that the average gunsmith wouldn't bother, and I think it was $1,500 or $1,800 a year for you to file that paperwork.
Right, and frankly, most gunsmiths, if it's not their 100% job, don't make $1,500 to $1,800 a year as a gunsmith. It's a hobby where sometimes they make $100 and they're like, woohoo, honey, see, it does pay to be a gunsmith, right? And
it doesn't show that they put $600 making that $100.
We're not talking about that. We are not talking about that at all. But that is exactly it. So if you are doing something that you love and periodically you get it like a little doggy treat, you're like, okay, I'll continue to sit and roll over, right? So
yeah, I ain't getting no money, but how about these two old bullets? They're like, ooh, look at that.
Look at that. They gave me these. Look at how shiny they are. Look at how tiny they are. Look at how special they are. Something.
Well, we went to a yard sale one day, and I bought some 44 bullets in a box that were just sitting loose, and 3 of those bullets were 44 Americans, and you never see a 44 American in the wild.
In the wild, and you're
so it's like the rest of it was just incidental stuff in that box, but I had to have those 3 rounds of 44.
And you
American.
remember where you were, what the box looks like, what the yard was at, where you turned to get there, how much you paid for it, and how happy and gleeful you were when you walked away holding your little box.
I have 3 44 American rounds, and you don't.
Exactly. You have a lot of collector bullets that I don't, because... Yeah.
Even if you had 3 44 American bullets, you probably wouldn't know you had them.
I'm just saying that you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So, I would be one of those people who'd be like, I don't know, these are broken. Yeah. So one of our listeners is like, the semi-automatic rifle ban passes Washington state legislature. Semi-auto pistols are next. See, because it is not just ARs, it is semi-auto. So it is a much bigger bite of the apple that they took. And, in the long run, Second Amendment Foundation, we're going to do a little pitch here. Second Amendment Foundation is standing strong in this fight. So if you're not a member of them, you should be a member. SAF.org. Go there. A life member is $150. So pony it up, So go support them and be a member. And you could be a dues paying annual member, or you could be a life member. But it is well worth it, and they are fighting the fight. And then the second part is that they're going to push back using Bruin against this. So it's going to take some money, and it's going to then...
Some of these fights are already in court. So, Maryland, California, the Connecticut, all these have already been filed. So all it takes is for one of them to attract Bruin's attention, and then they'll all go down at the same time. All
go down in a blaze of glory. But it's going to be glorious when that happens. But in the meantime, there are people who are freaking out. There are people who are trying to figure out what they're going to do. There are people who are selling their house. There's a gal in Michigan that is watching the laws in Michigan, and they literally decided they were moving, put their house up for sale, and sold their house in 10 days. And now they've got to figure out how they pack up and move, because they're like, I can't stay here. I cannot live. They can easily live where the cold freezes their nose, but they cannot live with these gun laws and with the government intrusion the way it is. And so they are packing up and moving, and you're going to see a lot of people do that, a lot. We'll be back right after this commercial break.
Is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
computer stand.
You hit the radio bullseye and the home for everything Second Amendment. Concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Well, I want to give a shout out to a company called Glitter Guns.
And we talked to them at the show, and they are generous enough that, as you guys know, I'm very active in the DC Project, which is Women for Gun Rights. And the logo for the DC Project is teal, and so everything is teal for 2A. So the Glitter Guns guy, that's not easy to say, the GGG is, he was like, well, how can I help? How about I glitter guns some guns for you to be able to raffle or auction or whatever. And so I'm soon to be sending guns. But I was told by somebody else, oh, well, if you have them glittery and teal, that's going to cut your audience by 50%. And that people aren't going to want those. People don't want shiny guns or glittery guns or teal guns or bright guns. And
yeah, right. Everybody wants a gold-plated AK-47 ever since they've seen the ones they have overseas.
Right. Well, that's what I thought. I mean, my thought is, one, well, I want one.
From somebody who's got a silver-plated Tommy gun.
Somebody, Tiger Stripe silver-plated Tommy gun. But I want one, and I would think that maybe I want it twice as much as somebody else. But, you're a dude. So what is your thought?
Wouldn't bother me. I have a turquoise gun now. If it sparkled, it'd be just better.
It'd be better.
It also has a pretty good amount of gription to that sparkle so that it's, I guess, tactical too, huh?
It's tactical, something, right? Something like that. But listeners, let me know.
Tactically abrasive, that's what.
Tactically abrasive. Let me know your thought on that, and look up glitter guns and see what you think. But do you think that that I'm kind of doing a bad thing, or do you think that it will get more interest and more of an interest? So somebody says that New York City doesn't allow glitter guns. So they specifically, so is that a modification or a deviation? So you're not allowed to change your firearm, or is that just that they're anti-colored guns, right? They don't like, GOC, guns of color, right? I don't know. What?
Well, for your less than lethal thing, you could also the sanding portion. You could scuff all the.
It could scuff you a little bit.
Right. You could get some.
When I hit you upside the head with it, that's going to leave a mark.
It would leave a mark. You definitely see it like you got hit by a body grinder.
There you go. That's going to leave a mark. That would give it a whole new concept to that's going to leave a mark. I'm pretty excited. I actually am, and so it will be. I have to get their FFL.
So they had one that it was gold colored, but it had like a purple sparkle.
It was like that flip-flop paint.
Right, so you looked at it from one direction, it was gold, and when you looked at it from the other direction, it had this like a purplish tint to it. Right. And there was the glitter shining. It was kind of neat how it did. Well,
remember when they had cars like that, and so everybody had to have the flip-flop paint car, right. Or they dreamed of it. You never really had it because that was big dollar stuff.
I don't know if you'd have to almost take one of these to the range and see if it's like shooting a disco ball.
But I'm going to say that there's so many people who buy and own, and then they buy and shoot, and then they own and don't shoot, and they shoot and they don't own, and there's sometimes it doesn't all match. It's like I just have to have that. The video producer draws a line of guns with spinner rims. Exactly. But I think that once you're sure that your firearm is of good quality and works, then you personalize it. And I mean, look at how many people have Cerakoted their firearms in
Right, I mean,
all different.
Back in the old days, you got a nickel-plated one and put ivory grips on it or something like this.
That was your barbecue gun.
So then they got fancy, and now with these new plastic ones, they use them, carve their initials in it or different things, and they get all different finger grooves and all kinds of. Eventually, when you go to trade your gun in, there's nothing going to be back like an original finish.
So there'll be some value in having an all original because nothing is all original any longer. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that more people will say, "Here, take my 20," than will look at it and say, "Oh no, I don't." He don't want no pink gun, son.
Right. It's still pretty for $20. What do you get? Right. You might as well get a pretty one, and then you can keep shooting your old crappy gun for the.
So let's go to that for a minute. There was somebody just recently who said that they have bought a low dollar, low quality gun to carry for personal defense because they wouldn't want to have to turn in, if they had to use their gun for self-defense, they wouldn't want to have to turn in one of their expensive ones.
Well, the thing is if you had to turn it in, you got your money's worth out of the fact that it did its job.
That you were there to turn it in, right? Guess what? Whatever it costs, I think I'm worth that, right?
And I don't know. I mean, it could be that your homeowner's insurance would cover that cost too.
If they keep it?
For some reason, if they keep it. But in the meantime,
that's an interesting question.
It's worth having 4 or 5 of the same guns just in case you like.
You really like that one,
and they stopped making it again, so you're stuck with it.
I'm telling you, we had to have a funeral dirge that one time when they stopped making your gun and you shot it and literally shot it till it.
It was funny. We went shooting the other day, and I have a couple of those low-priced plastic guns that they sell.
Well, you buy them to test them talk about them.
I like to shoot them and see how tough they are and what kind of problems I have in that. And a lot of times I don't have problems. It's kind of funny that they get bad press on YouTube, but there's really nothing wrong with them. I mean, in reality, that maybe they're a little bit more square than my $1,000 gun, but they work just as good, shoot just as good. And we went out the other day, and I took my normal polymer gun with me, and I took my 1911 out, and I was amazed at how heavy that thing was. It has extremely crappy sights on it. It's just an old GI Warhorse gun, but it still shoots point of aim and every time, just like it's supposed to. But it's just so heavy, and the sights are so bad and everything that I was so glad to go back to my FN. So.
I'll tell you, the gun that I like to just go and shoot, if you're just doing like tack driver shooting, is that the Walther P38. That gun is just fun to shoot.
And it's funny, I have some friends who have them, and they say, you couldn't hit the bottom of a 5-gallon bucket if you stood up straight with theirs. And the one you got shoots like a match gun.
I can stack them. I can absolutely stack them. And it's got that standing blade front sight, and it just goes.
Right. It's funny that everybody's like, oh, these shoot so bad, but yours shoots great. And I've also heard so many people say government issue 45 don't shoot good either. But the one I have shoots just fine. So and it's not at all particular about ammo.
Maybe it's not the gun.
It could very well be that it's not the gun.
I'm just saying. Now and then you're involved in a conversation.
What you heard about the 1911, I mean, where you could shoot somebody in the thumb and it would knock them down and knock a freight train off the tracks and everything. I mean, a lot of it was just hype. And then they didn't really give the GI a whole lot of time to practice with this pistol to be good at it. And so it was supposed to just be there as like a close quarters thing.
Right.
Most of them didn't get very proficient with it, and they didn't wear earplugs either, so that makes a big difference.
That would be that's going to leave a mark, right? That's going to leave the TV running clear at the 50%, at that 50 number.
For all them numbers, you might as well be listening up at the 98, 99.
Yeah, I don't know how high my TV goes, but
Mine will go to 99.
Oh.
Then I can say, what'd he say?
What did he say? We're going to say ours goes to 26 because that's about where we go. I don't know. I'm going to have to check now. Now I want to know, how high does my TV? What is the
my
potential?
dog watches the news at 26 when I'm gone. That's
whispered. It's whispered, and the dog
I just turn it down so the dog just keeps you company.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know. But I would think that shooting a 45 with no hearing protection, it wouldn't take long before your head is rattling, absolutely rattling with the noise, because they are kind of brutal. So everything runs to a different number. So our video producer says his amp goes to 11. So I don't know. My TV at least goes to 26. I know that, but I will check and I will let you know. We'll be right back.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit Project Child. A firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seffacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they can be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, well, we are back, and so somebody says, I can't read part of this, but notice Glock had a purple coating, so I say, heck yeah. Oh, a comment from Rumble, got it. So I appreciate the interaction. I appreciate you coming back to me, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I think. So they were absolutely adamant that it is going to restrict our ability to fundraise, and I'm thinking, no, I honestly, here's the thing that I think that whether you really in your heart want a teal gun or not, the teal gun will draw your attention to it, where you'll just scroll on past a black gun having a raffle or an event, and so it will attract more attention.
But everybody's raffling off a black one.
Right, so it's doing a little something special. So anyhow, and a glittery special, we'll go for it and see what happens. When we had a gun shop, we had a guy who came in and he brought, it was like a rite of passage in their family, where they brought the newest member when he reached, what was he, maybe 6?
Something like that.
It was his birthday, and so all the men in the family come with the kid, and they go to the gun shop and they get him his first gun. And so they were shopping for one of the little 22 bolt action, like a Cricket or something of that nature. And the kid came in, and the grandfather handed him the gun, and stood over him and watched him and showed him and talked to him and all that. On the back we had Barbie pink ones and we had black ones, and there were several black ones and a Barbie pink one. And the little boy put the black one back on the shelf and pulled out the Barbie pink one. And the grandfather was this is burnt into my head, because he kept saying, "You don't want a pink gun, son. You do not want a pink gun, son." And the little boy, it had attracted his attention, and yes, he did. And so I would think that if we had a neon green one or a baby blue one, he would have wanted either one of those two.
I have chrome ones and I have yellow ones, and I think there's no reason for it to be boring and just regular old black colored or blue.
So yeah, I have a couple colors, and so okay. So let's. I'm moving ahead. I'm going for it. I am so appreciative of the Glitter Guns
some
company.
Of this stuff is just, we got news about lawbreakers that have been longtime lawbreakers that eventually offer what they're doing. But shooting each other is, but mainly here's a group here that they shot each other. And the biggest crime, according to them, is that none of them were old enough to buy a gun. So the article doesn't really say that much about shooting each other.
So this is in Dadeville, Alabama, where the birthday party. So what happened is it came on the news, and I pulled this story because it was on the news. Everybody was talking about the fact that there's this birthday party, and somebody burst in and shot up the birthday party, and we want to know more, and it's a mass killing, and what was going on. And then they said, oh, it was 6 teenagers. Never mind. We're not going to talk about it anymore. And so the anti-gun folks are saying we need more gun control, because how could things like this happen? But then they fell right off that soapbox, because these guys were using pistols, but 20, 19, 20, 17, 16, and one was a juvenile a 15-year-old male that they won't release his name because he's a juvenile. But the 16s and 17s are now considered adults in Alabama. But I am more disturbed. I mean, I'm extremely disturbed that there's a birthday party that didn't get to, those folks didn't get to go home. I mean, so, but I think that when you're sitting there and you are in the national news and you are pushing these narratives and you get this story, that you follow through with this story the same way you followed through with the rest of the stories, and you don't drop it like a hot cake because it doesn't fit your narrative. Those 4 people still didn't get to go home. What's going on? And it doesn't fit narrative of what you're trying to promote and how you're trying to push it. So you're trying to push for gun control. You're trying to push like race relations kind of things, and guess what? They were all the same color. So that didn't work either.
One of the lines in this says, federal law itself mandates the handguns cannot be sold to anyone under 21, yet here we are. And so all these were in that teenage...
Yes. Yeah. So they were not old enough to own guns, and there's that. So let's say we have a crime problem. Maybe we have a gang problem. I mean, because you don't typically see 6 guys running together that all are underage, that all have guns.
They're not saying if the guns are stolen or anything like this, but
we're
it's
not
like
getting any of that.
You would think that that would be the normal line, was that these were stolen guns they bought under the table somewhere, because otherwise you would think the background check would have caught it, or the fact that they were all underage would have caught it, or anything. Yeah. So it's they just tell you what they want you to know so that their side of the story sounds better to you.
Right. So the question is, who's providing these weapons to children? If they're saying that, you know, they're 15, 16, 17, 20, you know, if you're saying that at 20 years old you're not allowed to have a pistol, and that's what they're pushing, then how did they get it? Inquiring minds want to know. Why did you drop the story? Inquiring minds want to know.
Here's one where the guy was at the ATM getting money out. Another guy comes up and starts pistol whipping him. A good Samaritan steps in to stop that. Then they pretty much just go on to tell you how not to get pistol whipped at the ATM.
So, did you see, the other day I saw a picture, and we may have to cover this when we come back from the commercial break, but there's a pistol, 95 years old, and her friend was at the ATM, and the 95-year-old woman was facing outward with both arms out, like, I'm protecting you, right? Kind of like you'd hold back a gaggle of chickens. I'm protecting, but she looked like you could go poof with a little bit of wind and she'd fall right over.
Maybe that was her start stance from when the buzzer goes off.
It could be. I'm protecting you, but it was a pretty interesting, and she was successful because it was the day that nothing happened. We'll be right back.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, be arrested or sued, and face extensive legal costs, Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
I'm Charlie Cook from Writing Shotgun with Charlie. Conversation on safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to Writing Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Okay, so as promised, we're going to continue on with that story. So the armed Samaritan shoots the robber, and that's all good, right? So let's see. One of our listeners says Elijah Dickens, the 22-year-old Indiana man, intervened in a mass shooting in the Greenwood Park Mall. Yeah, they tried to tear him up because what if he was 20 years old? They were like, there were rules inside that mall that said that your gun wasn't welcome. And it was a suggestion, recommendation. There was mall rules, but it wasn't against the law. And so, but they really tried to say, how dare he have a gun? How dare he protect everybody in the mall? And so it's really kind of.
If you asked the people in the mall, they were glad he was there.
Exactly. So
I'll buy him a new box of bullets, even.
So to be grateful that he was there and that he was as prepared and all of that. So when they are telling you about stuff, pay attention to the safety rules, pay attention to things. If you are carrying a gun, that should not make you auxiliary police. It should raise your level of awareness, and it should be the tool that gets you out of trouble if you can't just get out of trouble. But you pay attention to the standard stuff. Be aware of your surroundings. If you think you need several guns, don't go to that community.
If you're in there and you have the opportunity, you can shoot that guy and stop it, or you can cut out the side door and go home and watch it on the news. What do you do?
I think it really depends on what your skill set is. Right? Because some of my students, they're not Elijah Dickens, right? They are not, which means that they would harm someone else, or they would just draw that guy's fire and not survive the encounter. So based on your skill set, you have different you make different decisions, but you have to make decisions given the information that you've got at that moment. And do you think you can do it? And if you spend all your time practicing shooting Necco wafers off of the furthest rock you can see, then guess what? You probably stand a chance.
I think some of it too is if you can, if you pick your spots so you're pretty much bullet resistant and can call the police to tell them what was going on, then you might be better off and wait for the fight to actually come to you. But it would be hard not to
intervene. So you either are running or you're running. So you're either running to or you're running away. But you're in action because there's not just I'm going to stay here.
I'm going to hide behind the pop machine.
Okay. Wait, I think that's a Steve Martin thing, isn't it? From one of the Jerk, wasn't it?
If you've ever been in the pop machine, it takes a lot to get through one of those.
Well, I've not.
They're like a little vault with that has a refrigerator section for drinks.
For drinks. Got it. Okay. So pay attention to the basic safety rules. Don't display cash, Train with your gun. And that's something.
Well, some of it too is push your luck a little bit. When you're out there, you can shoot at 20 feet. So why not try 40 or 50 feet?
50 feet. Well,
see if you can do it too.
How many people you'll see them take a class with a bigger gun because they'll do better in class than with the gun they carry.
Right. But that too is sometimes your little gun, you can't hold up to 1,200 rounds of.
No, I do get that.
The gun's fine. It's you're the one that's taking that beating.
You can't take the beating.
Before long, you've developed a flinch that you'll never recover from.
But there's a combination. I mean, I've taken the gun sight thing with my 365, the gun sight 250 class with my 365. The first time I did really well. I did better than anybody in the class. The second time, I had brought some really good shooters along with me, and I stayed in the middle of the pack. I wasn't the very end, but I wasn't the very beginning either.
I had a woman come through the class one day with one of the 360 SE Scandian Smith & Wesson Magnums, shooting full house Magnums for about 200 rounds for the day.
Yeah.
And I was amazed that she was able to just go the whole day, let alone hit
anything, because that is brutal. I mean, but there's a spot where she could shoot her gun and not have to shoot the high-powered round, so she would have had some options that she chose not to explore. But I still think you train with your gun.
You should at least a little bit, but it's one of them things you don't want to beat yourself up. So you go out, shoot a couple shots, switch over to the lighter kicking bullets or lighter kicking gun, and then next time you're out, shoot your gun a couple more times so you're used to it. I mean, the guys that shoot these big elephant guns, they may go to the range and shoot 2 shots a day, and then they come back in 2 days and shoot two more shots because you definitely don't want to get to where you're afraid of the gun because of the beating it's giving you.
Right. All of that. Absolutely.
So you're going to read the 6 pluses of what not to do at the ATM?
Well, most of these I mean, this is basic ATM.
Keep your money in your pocket. Keep your mouth shut. Don't wave your money around like you're hot.
So let's see. Don't fan your money with right. So first is be aware of your surroundings. That makes a lot of sense. Pay attention to.
Even when you're in the car, somebody could easily come up from one side or the other of the window and have control of you at that point. So.
Yeah. Well, and when you pull into one of those, do you leave your car running, or do you not?
I leave my car running.
I have my pistol on my laps.
There you go. You're good. And I typically do more of the brake thing. Then I'm not shifting it into neutral. I just got a foot on the brake. So
I just keep my pistol right there, and I know to shoot high enough that it goes out the window instead of through the door panel. So I'm all good.
There you go. Got it. So the next one says avoid walking alone at night, because if you're in the country, that means that the boogeyman's going to get you. And if you're in the city, that means the boogeyman's going to get you. And some of them have teeth and claws, and some of them just have teeth and weapons.
Right.
Right? Yeah. exactly. So then they suggest that try to use the ATMs during daylight hours when more people are around and it's lit and you can see what you're doing and you can see what's going on around you. Don't display cash. That makes sense. Train with your gun. That makes sense. And trust your instincts. If something doesn't feel right, you know that guy that's wearing the garbage bag that's standing across the street. He's wearing a garbage bag over his head, standing across the street looking at you. Probably you shouldn't turn your back.
Time to take the safety off.
Yeah, don't turn your back on that. You know, there's trust those instincts. You know, all that.
Hey, here's one you'll like. It's
let's talk about this.
The use of that word smart gun.
Okay, so there's a company called BioFire, and they have the smart gun technology, and they rolled it out. And what happens when new gun manufacturers come out? The first thing that you see if you are in Second Amendment media is they're like, let us send you the gun for 2 weeks for you to try it, and then we'll send it off to somebody else. You don't get to keep them, but they get some guns out in circulation so people can try them.
And write about them and talk about them online.
And a lot of them, they'll send them out and say, the day that you get to publish is March 1st. And we're going to send it to you in January. Then you send it back. Then we're going to send it to the next writer. Then we're going to send. So a gun goes through 3 or 4 writers before the March 1st date. This company, BioFire, said, yeah, no, we're not going to let you shoot the gun.
They have let a couple people shoot it on video so that you could watch. One was a Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL, and the other was the guy from this Forgotten Weapons.
Okay.
But they all had to sign that. It was a non-disclosure agreement before they could talk about it. So it's like, what are
so they can't talk about
it? What aren't they disclosing?
So they signed it before they could talk about it about what they can't.
The gun's going to sell for $14.99, and that's $1,499, and you can get a refundable deposit of $149. I say, phooey, I don't believe it's when they're out of money and it doesn't work. You ain't getting your $149 back.
But why are they?
And then extra magazines are $49 each, and you can even order a pistol with your own custom serial number, no extra charge. But they're working out some bugs, make sure that it functions and that it doesn't have any hiccups or anything. This is supposed to be, eventually it's going to be as reliable as a Glock 19. I've seen that they wrote in here.
Right.
It looks kind of clunky in their picture.
So somebody says that he wants his gun dumb and then also as dependable as a high point. High points are ugly, but they definitely work. They run. They just run.
The other thing, High Point has a new carbine out in that 30 Super Carry roundup. So
yeah, I
if you want a gun that's going to be fun to shoot, it doesn't have a lot of recoil, but has some pretty good power.
And so this gun, one of the other listeners is like, this gun's got lithium batteries. Does it catch fire like an electric car? So your gun in the drawer that's being smart all of a sudden is
Well, I think this has a lot to prove from itself. Right now they're keeping it so secret that it doesn't look good for it. We've all seen this with the Remington R51 and the Hudson 9mm, where it came out with a huge fanfare and it didn't last very long, and then they tried to give them away at the end to see if they could get somebody.
I have a stock and I need to get the warehouse. I'm paying rent on the warehouse that I can't. One, there's not a lot of people who are going to embrace this in the beginning because you don't want, any of these smart gun technologies. Think about your smartphone, recalculating. Can you hear me now? Right? Any of that. How dependable is that? And when you need your gun, you need with a capital need.
Yeah.
Your gun.
It's like you can't just sit there and keep swiping at it, trying to get it to go. Well, that's how.
At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com. Brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com. The brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Rangemaster certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Oh, do you know what I forgot to tell you? I forgot to tell you that Nebraska is number 27.
Okay, they're 26. They got some. I read this article, and it says something.
They're not 26, they're 27.
Well, but it may be the way that this goes into effect, because this is signed now, but it goes into effect like July 30th or something.
Okay, so maybe somebody else.
So it could just be the way that fits into there. Nebraska becomes the 25th state to restore constitutional carry, 26th member of the Constitutional Carry Club, and the 27th state to have permitless carry.
Okay, so they're not counting Florida, because Florida's permit does not have open carry.
It's kind of cool here. They're telling you Vermont has always had constitutional carry, no permit was ever required, and then they're telling you about
Yeah, Alaska brought it back.
Vermont's had consistently one of the lowest murder rates in the nation. Then Alaska and Arizona has restored theirs. So then they gave you a list of all the states with this.
Right.
They said Florida has permitless carry.
Florida has permitless concealed carry, but it's not constitutional carry. It's close enough. We're counting it.
Well, the problem is
Nebraska's 27.
Most of them I don't think will fit constitutional carry, because if you take your carbine into the restaurant and want to set it in the corner while you're eating, they're not going to like that too.
So, but a lot of them, their constitutional carry only applies to the same things that their concealed carry permit.
See, and the Constitution doesn't say nothing about my concealed carry permit.
You don't. You got a license? You got a license for that? I don't need no stinking license, right? You're right.
It was set up so I was supposed to have 200 rounds of ammo in my
that was the Ohio.
musket.
That was the Ohio.
No, actually, if you read the Federalist Papers, they said that as an able-bodied musket man, you were to show up with a musket that is of like quality to everyone else's, and you had to have enough supplies to shoot 200 rounds.
Able-bodied musket man. That's musket man. So is that like here I come to save the day, musket man?
If you play around with a brown bus or something from that day, you'll realize that
I don't need to go to aerobics.
It takes a lot more muscles than you give it credit for. The things so they weigh about 11 pounds, and you got to have a hood spring like a jackass kicking.
Oh yeah, there's a spot where no room for Zumba or the
gym.
Like
a pogo stick. You have to kickstart the hammer to get it back far enough.
I know that one time you were like, I think my gun is broken, and it's like, no, I need to eat my Wheaties.
And I took it apart. It's like, nope, it's just I didn't cock it hard enough to make it go.
I need to eat my Wheaties for this. So the other day we were looking at that guy's collection, and he had that.
It was an 1817 U.S. musket that was built in 1821 by Pomeroy.
I have no need for it. I have no use for it, and I could have taken it home. Right?
But, I mean, who doesn't need a 70 caliber smoothbore musket that shoots a 1-inch flint?
Right. The flint was huge. I mean, it was like the size of a Heath bar. It really was. Maybe other people don't measure things by candy bars.
That was, you don't have to fumble with this little dinky thing. You got this big stone you can.
Right. Well, you're wearing your gloves made out of skunk or something. I don't know. But no, it was cool. Pomeroy. It was absolutely way cool. So one of our listeners is reminding all of us that constitutional carry or permitless carry has no reciprocity state to state. So even though your state passes this, you probably want to continue to have your concealed carry with your state for that reciprocity until we can get.
Go to that. Do you understand what constitutional means? And
no,
it's all
until we can get all of these guys off of their duffs and pass a national permitless carry. And we'll just say with
it's called the Second Amendment.
With today's Senate, that's not happening right now. Did you see where Representative Nadler is head of the Judiciary Committee now?
No, and I try not to watch anything Nadler's doing, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nadler had been. Now it's Dick Durbin. That's the one. It was like
that was a big upgrade there.
It was so. It was. He's such a meanie.
I've been watching Marjorie Taylor Greene. I love her and her attitude. The fact that the liberals hate her guts, and the news media just. Everything she says is wrong.
Well, is she like, remember when Ron Paul used to talk and everybody would be like, you're wrong, you're so wrong. And now if you go back and listen to what he said 5 years ago, 7 years ago, we're living it now.
Right. I mean, he steered the from the back of the bus. And this is basically what Green's going to be doing. She throws out some stuff, and everybody gets a chance to chew on a little bit, and then they bring out what little pieces they can handle until eventually we're down that path. And so you'll see there's some people in Congress you never even hear from, and others that are very vocal, but yet seem to be on a losing path. But if you look at it over a historical period of time, they've been the one making policy, and the other ones that are just going along doing nothing.
So one of our listeners says that if we got the Pomeroy and your gun broke, you can pull the flint off and use it to stab the bad guy. I can tie it to a stick and use it as a hatchet.
Well, you see where they, like John Wick uses like a credit card to cut somebody's throat or whatever. You could easily do that with this flint because they're sharp like that.
They're sharp like that. I can make a hatchet out of my extra flint, right? Carry it in a.
Yeah, 1 inch square, it's probably just about big as a hatchet. So
yeah.
So anyhow, there's a lot of cool stuff in old things, but a lot of people they want firepower. We're all about firepower, and so even when you're a little kid, you get a single shot gun. The first thing you want is a 2-shot gun or a 4-shot gun.
Because I'm slow.
It's so much cooler to hear bang, bang, bang than just bang.
Bang. And then you do it again. Well, I kind of like I'm okay with just bang. And then,
it's funny. A lot of it depends on who you're shooting with or against. Because if you're trying to actually hit something, one shot, the guy that's the closest shot is having fun, and you're both learning something. If you just go out there and you just like hear the gun go off, pretty soon you're not really hitting anything.
Well, it was like when we were at that primary arms shoot, and they were like, "You want to shoot this?" And since were running a hot range. So the targets had already Swiss cheese.
Shot about 3,000 times.
They were already Swiss cheese. And so I was like, okay. So I took it and I went to the bottom corner and I was shooting the target label. And my first shot, the guy stepped forward to kind of like give me a pointer as to where, lady, you're shooting. When my second shot went right there, and then my third shot went right there, and he was like, "Oh, I got it. We're going to a clean piece of the paper." Right?
But that's the thing is it's a lot of fun if you have competition. If you're out there by yourself, you get bored fast and you got to find something to entertain yourself with.
And then it's bang, bang, bang.
But you get to be a better shot if you have someone that's good to shoot against because they make you want to be better shot.
Right, and you're really good. And so that's why I train with you. I train with Robin Sandoval of A Girl and a Gun because it makes me up my game. And then I learn how to lose with dignity. So it all works well. But when I'm out without you guys, I can do pretty well through the rest of the crowd. But this way it's like, wait for me, I'm keeping up. I'm
keeping up.
I'm keeping up. That's it. Sometimes I say it, sometimes I do it, whatever that is. So, hey, we'll see you guys next week.